President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's tax reform bill has generated a lot of controversy. There are other issues concerning refineries working and what should be the profit from this, as expected by the populace, and local government autonomy, development commissions across the country, banditry. With us in the studio to discuss these issues is a former finance and budget commissioner in Ekiti State between 1999 and 2003, chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission between 2011 and 2016. Currently, he is a national secretary of Yoruba Leaders of Thought. Mr. Bayo Aina, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dejola Inka. Let me also thank you for setting this up as a platform that has enabled so many people to articulate and express their opinions and views on all kinds of issues without fear or favor. Thank you so much for your efforts, and I hope that by the grace of God, you and your colleagues, your entire team will reap very bountiful reward.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Amen. The tax reform bill is actually causing some kind of north and southern dichotomy, creating a kind of gulf. What is your view about this?
Thank you very much. The tax reform bill and all the reactions that have followed it clearly demonstrates the ability of the elite to determine what should be the agenda of Nigeria and what should be prominent in the national discourse. The reform bill actually removes the burden of tax from over 150 million Nigerians. If you are not earning up to 85,000 naira a month or 1 million naira per annum, you are exempted from tax. This exemption itself seeks to introduce more efficiency into tax collection, because the effort you put trying to collect money from people who don't have more than 5,000, 10,000 naira is not worth the trouble. So you remove that burden. People are not celebrating that because nobody is drawing attention to it. You know, and there are two angles to it. You have the mobilization angle, the revenue angle itself. It is the allocation that everybody is concerned about. And if you actually study that, there are 4 bills actually, and if you study the one they're talking about, if the truth be told, it just has to do with allocation. How do we distribute the cake? That is what is causing the problem. And if you dig deeper, there is nothing like dichotomy in it, because it does not exclude the benefit of this tax system, does not exclude any region simply because they belong to a region. It does not exclude any state. Everybody can benefit from it. The important thing is to know how can you benefit maximally from it. And the way to benefit really is to bring more resource, more revenue into the common pool, so that the new bill does not encourage indolence. It does not encourage reaping where you have not sown. You understand? So that is the issue. It has nothing to do with north-south.
The objection to the new tax bill comes more from the northern part of the country. Governors are coming together. The leaders of thoughts in the north are coming together over the tax bill. So what will be the reason for this?
The first reason is that people do not actually sit to think and articulate their own interests properly. Maybe as a worker in the university, any of the universities in the north, if I'm earning less than 85,000 naira a month, I should not be part of that kind of agitation, because what the tax the proposer has done is to completely remove every burden of taxation from my neck. But where we have issues are some state governors who used to get a lot of money simply because of their population, they will still get, but it will no longer be as much as it used to be. Where the majority of the funds will go now is into derivation. So if you have generated 100 naira, 60 naira of that is what will be calculated to determine what belongs to you. Then the 20% of it will be given to you based on the population of your state, while another 20% will be given to you simply because you are a local government or you are a state. And that is where they call equality of state and then population. So based on equality, every state will get 20% of what is in the pool. 20% will be allocated and it will be given evenly to everyone. Then another 20% will now be allocated and spread based on population. So here, Lagos and Kano will get the majority of that 20%.
And most other northern states.
The remaining 60% will now be based on effort. And the truth is that there's nobody who cannot improve on their effort. If you think you want more, work harder and get more money into the common pool. And then you can feel entitled to whatever it is that is in the pool.
I think the area of objection mainly is about derivation, is in the aspect of derivation.
Derivation is a function of effort, is a function of contribution. It's like we have a cooperative or an ajo, and you are putting money there. You should be entitled to whatever you are putting there should also reflect on what your entitlement should be. You know, that is just what that law is saying. And derivation has always been there before, but it was underplayed. I think derivation was about just 20%.
20, yes.
So how can you reward effort by just 20%, and then you expect people to put in more effort?
Okay, if leaders of the northern part of Nigeria are saying that there should be a kind of pause on the tax bill for more consultations. A lot of northern leaders have spoken. The popular Governor Zulum has also spoken about it, that there should be a kind of pause, and that
the truth be told, Governor Zulum is one of the most far-sighted and progressive governors that I have a personal regard for. But I think he rushed quickly to the press to hear those views. And this will not be the first time that the North is making that kind of demand. When President Obasanjo was on the saddle, there was an issue regarding inoculation of children, and they had to hold back to do some kind of investigation, asking Islamic scientists to come in and evaluate those things while they paused. Only God knows who will bear the blame for the children that contacted polio during the period of that pause. At the end of the day, there was actually absolutely no cause for alarm. It was just that some people just wanted to hold a scheme back in the name of religion and also to test their strength.
Mr. President sent a bill, and you're saying withdraw the bill.
I don't think it is proper at this stage to now say we want to pause, because the committee that actually worked on this reform had been in place for almost 2 years. They had gone round. The committee was made up of more than 100 people from all sectors of life, from all parts of Nigeria, including students. And in their wisdom, they have come up with this. It is now with the National Assembly. The thing to do is to lobby at the National Assembly and say, these are the areas we want you to work on and so on. It's not to say withdraw it and take it back to the president and pause. No, no nation goes like that. if we want to go by that, then there is no significant initiative that will come to this country where people will not say, let us pause. People will say, let us pause. For example, work has gone on substantially on the Lagos Calabar road and so on. There were people who have said, let us pause at that time. Some people said, my private property will be affected, this and that, let us pause. It is not in our interest and so on. You don't run a nation that is in a hurry to develop like that. And believe me, we have lost so many years to non-visionary leadership. So now that we have a visionary leadership, let us do it. And the truth is, even in the course of implementation, all objections can still be viewed and reviewed. Not for us to now pause. This government has 4 years in its initial term. So this is the second year and we now want to pause. When do we want to implement it?
Beyond the northern governors, we understand that even NEC, which is a composition of former leaders of the country, have also said, let it be placed on hold for wider consultation.
These are people primarily made up of past leaders who could not envision this kind of reform and then implement it. The weakest part of the chain, or the strongest, the chain is as strong as its weakest part. You cannot be stronger than your weak part, but the danger is you should not allow the weak part to determine your pace. So what you need to do is to do those things that will strengthen the weak part so that you can all go at the same pace. So even if NEC has made that suggestion, as a matter of fact, one of the members of NEC, former President Olusegun Obasanjo, if we had followed his advice, nothing would have been done to our refineries. Because in his view, it cannot be resuscitated, it cannot be salvaged and so on. So for a president to now say, we want to listen to that, they say we should pause, you will not move. The bills are already in the National Assembly. Let everybody go there and lobby and canvass. It cannot become a law until the National Assembly passes it. And even when they pass it, the president can use two-thirds, he can override it, provided those who pass it are not more than two-thirds. Yes, no more than
one of the observations of those against it from the north is that only Lagos and Rivers will benefit from the 60% derivation formula.
It is a rumor. As a matter of fact, Ekiti will benefit more. And I'll give you, I used to work in a bank. And in those days, following the introduction of computer system, all salaries of all workers of the bank, whether you're in Maiduguri or in Enugu, wherever you were, was paid from the head office. And the head office was in Lagos. All our taxes went to Lagos, regardless of where you were living and so on. What this tax law is also trying to do is to unbundle that kind of situation. So, if, for example, I buy Dangote cement here in Ekiti and I use it here in Ekiti, the tax that derivable therefrom will not go to either Obajan or wherever Aliko Dangote's headquarters are. It will come to Ekiti, because in the books of Dangote people, they will say, we manufacture this here, but we deployed so much to Ekiti. So the VAT or whatever tax is derivable from that will come back to Ekiti, not to Lagos. The truth is that it is Lagos and Port Harcourt and so on that ought to be even protesting this new reform. You see, because it brings more equity into tax administration. People consume beer here in Ekiti, for example. Whatever taxes are derivable therefrom are paid to wherever the headquarters of those whether beer or Indomie or whatever it is, wherever they are located. But now it will be collected and attributable to Ekiti.
Can you speak further on the benefit of this tax reform bill, especially as it affects the northern part of Nigeria or all other parts as well?
The benefit is that people will be spurred to work harder and more efficiently, and they will reap the reward of their labor. That is one major benefit in that.
Okay.
The second benefit is that it has removed the burden of tax from the necks of those least able to bear it. For example, if there are people in these offices, in your offices now, that are earning less than ₦1 million and per annum, they will no longer be bothered about tax, unlike the present situation. Nobody will just bother them again. And with that, revenue officers can focus more on where they are likely going to get results. You see, efficiency is the word, and I think that the way this thing is currently scripted, it's going to promote that efficiency. And some people use the term as freeloaders and so on. That is, you are just there, you are not doing anything, but you are getting more reward than those that are working. That one will be there, and that one will be gone.
There are voices from the north that say the northern part of this country feeds the other parts of this country, that 70% of our food comes from the north, livestock from the north. So why would they not benefit as a result of this area of production from the new tax bill?
Thank you very much. The north they are talking about, they are referring to individual farmers. It's not the government. The people who plant the tomato, the people who plant the yams and so on, they carry that thing, take it to the market and sell, and get their money and put it in their pocket. Just like the people here who also plant whatever they have to plant, they take their stuff to the market and plant and sell and get the proceeds therefrom. And in any case, food items have even been exempted. Most of the food items have been exempted from all kinds of taxation. If I remember very correctly, only 18% of what used to attract VAT will now attract VAT. So things that affect the common man, for example, you don't want to go to a place, you want to eat your eba, and they said eba is 200 naira, but you have VAT of 25 naira to pay on it. It doesn't come to that anymore. Medicine, children's medicine, everybody's drugs and so on, you don't have to pay VAT on those stuff anymore. So the agri output of the north is very impressive and massive and so on, but there are people who are the ones benefiting from it because we buy it from them. You understand? It's not as if they bring the proceeds to the federation account and then we now share it therefrom. No. They bring their proceeds to the market, they sell to who they want to sell to at prices that favor them. Sometimes there are middlemen that buy off this stuff, but the truth of it is that all these efforts still go to individual pockets and not to a regional purse or a national purse, from where we can now say, okay, we have brought this much, then we can give this to you.
Understand. So in what ways would you say the new tax bill will promote industrialization?
Well, if I remember very well, the corporate tax has been reduced from 30 to 25%. But it is not actually the tax alone that will improve industrialization. There are other economic policies that would improve industrialization. For example, establishing refineries now is now being looked at as a viable option in Nigeria, and we expect BUA to come on stream maybe sometime next year, and other modular refineries and so on. The power situation, if it is improved, will also help industrialization, Then our tariff system. For example, for as long as it is cheaper to smuggle rice to Nigeria than to grow it and sell it in Nigeria, people would favor that sector. For as long as it is cheaper to smuggle in textile materials, shoes, and all this other stuff from other places, for as long as it's much costlier to produce there in Nigeria than to simply import, rationally people will just do whatever favors them. So it is not just the tax alone. There are other areas of infrastructure that we need to look at if we are expecting the industrialization we're talking about. And I believe that government is actually looking at it, and we should commend the government. Yeah. But you see, because for example, the road and rail corridor from the coastal road, it's an infrastructure that would promote movement of goods and services from one point to the other. These are things that would improve industrialization. For example, if we have a situation where your tomato, your cassava, your yams do not need to rot on the farm before you're able to bring them to the market, people who are willing to go into agro processing and so on would find a niche there, and then they will work on it. By and large, it is right and correct to say that this government is getting the basics very right.
The last time you were on our program, you actually spoke in respect of the agitation of a number of people in Nigeria asking for the removal of the present NNPC boss.
I remember.
Can you remind us of your position?
And I was saying then that we don't know the facts that are available to the president, who is the employer of the MD, and why he has not changed the MD. And I said that for me, sacking is always not the best option. It's not the first option you should consider. And I remember I made reference to the Intercontinental Bank and Oceanic Bank, where Sanusi just dismissed everybody and so on, and everybody was hailing him there. We don't know what benefits those actions have brought to the banking industry. Many of the banks that bought up the collapsed banks are not even as big as those banks they bought today. They don't even have the number of staff that they have. So there was no impact assessment, there was nothing. I think we would have gained more if you had called the key stakeholders in those institutions and say, we'll give you 5 years to tidy up your books, otherwise we will do this. You don't always start by doing your worst, because it doesn't get you too far. If the group MD had been sacked now, it is most unlikely that the refineries will be ready now, the way they are.
They wouldn't have been ready.
It probably will. You see, because you have to put a new management in place, they will have to do some drama and roadshow and disrupt everything their predecessors have done just to discredit them. But we have a situation where, under the right leadership, people that previously were thought not to be able to deliver are now delivering. So one should thank the president for creating the right environment that has backed this new scenario that we are witnessing in that sector. I don't think many people will be calling for anybody's head now.
So now we have Dangote refinery working and 2 government refineries working. The one in
and all the other ones will also work. And there will also be more private sector driven refineries.
You understand that they are not producing all the different aspects of oil. Some are producing PMS and all that. What do you have to say about that? Diesel?
It is the way to go. You can't start by doing everything at the same time. master a few things, then add more to it and master them, and add more and master them as you go along. That is the way to do it. Yeah, Yoruba even has a good way of saying it. Ibi pelebe, antima mole je. You start from the known, and then you go on, and then you establish mastery over those areas, those territories. So for me, that is the way to go.
Today, the price of fuel has come to around 1,000, and in some places maybe a little bit below 1,000 naira. Do we expect further reduction?
Well, I expect that greater efficiencies will be brought into the industry. But don't forget, the oil sector is a dollarized sector. So if we are going to expect very significant benefits, we will expect our currency to also heal. As it heals and there are greater efficiencies in the sector, then we can begin to benefit from the price. But for as long as our naira is weak, don't be too optimistic. That's my humble suggestion.
So how long do we have to wait before our naira gets stronger?
It depends on us. It depends so much on us. For example, 80% of Nigerians, if they have the capacity, they will still want to travel abroad or import things from abroad. Even there are millions of Nigerians, let me just call them millions, they may not be up to that. There are millions of Nigerians, immediately they have some cash, they change it to dollar and keep. You don't know. So for as long as you have all this demand pressure on the dollar, it will also affect the naira. So it depends on us. I will be speculating so much if I say that in another 6 months the dollar should crash to this and that. Everybody has tasted the dollar. They have seen how strong and steady it is, and until we have a trend for about a year or so too, where rather than appreciating, the dollar is depreciating and naira is appreciating, then the demand for dollar will go down and the naira will be stronger. It will affect not just the petroleum, the price of the pump price of petrol, it will affect every other thing.
People of the Fountain.